Asante Son Warden, and as we say here in Harambe, Twende. Twende does mean let's go. Alright, Jumbo guys, I am Tyler. I'm going to be your safari guide today as we travel through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. This is a real truck. I am really driving it, and it is really bumpy out on the reserve, so please make sure you remain seated at all times, keeping hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck, even if we are not moving. Now, we unfortunately will not be able to stop for every single animal that we see out on the reserve today, so make sure you have those cameras and phones ready. I do ask that you hold on them tightly. Now, if you do lose something, just raise your hand. I will also raise my hand, and we're both going to wave goodbye to it because we're not going to stop for it. I'm not allowed to stop for it. Somebody else will go out and get that item for you guys, I promise. And I do want to remind you guys as well, we're heading into these animals' homes, so please be respectful of that. Please don't yell at them, shout at them, make any noises trying to get their attention. The quieter you guys are, the closer they will get to the truck. Those little ones are more than welcome to lap sit. Just make sure they remain seated on your lap at all times, and you're not picking them up above your head to get a better view or playing hot potato with them. Pass them back and forth from family member to family member. But we have that clearance, so we're going to head on into the reserve. The first stop is going to be the Little Ituri Forest. A lot of the animals here, they have darker coats and stripes. It's going to help them blend into their environment just a little bit better.
What's that?
Now here to the left, these caramel colored antelopes, these are bongos. Both male and female bongos will have those horns. Those horns are slanted backwards. Helps them move silently through the forest without alerting anything around them. There's also that big black and white bird to the left, that is a saddle-billed stork. They get pretty big. Wingspan will reach anywhere from about 7 to 9 feet across. For reference, that canopy above your head is about 9 feet. They're also going to stand about 3 feet tall. And then those two striped animals to the right, kind of look like zebras. Those are not zebras, those are okapis. Okapis are not related to zebras. They're actually the only living relatives of giraffes. Both male okapis and giraffes, they both have ossicones on top of their head. They also have the exact same skull structure. Think of an okapi as a travel-sized giraffe. Okapis were actually thought to be a mythological creature for the large portion of history to the early 1900s when they were first found in the wild. First baby okapi wasn't found in the wild until the 1980s. And here to the left, this is a black rhino. The black rhinos are the smaller of the two species of rhinos that we have here on the reserve. They're going to weigh anywhere from about 3,000 to 4,000 pounds. They have a triangular shaped upper lip. Allows them to kind of graze off branches, help them grab onto things just a little bit easier. Now I didn't point it out earlier, but there's that spotting guide above you. It's going to be a good reference for some of the animals that we have here on the reserve. Now the reserve itself is 110 square acres, which is larger than the Magic Kingdom and its parking lot. So there's lots of places for animals to hide, so we might not see all of them, but we have had some pretty good luck this far this morning. As we head on out of the forest, we're going to make our way into the Safi River. As you can probably guess, most of the animals here, they're going to be aquatic, so keep your eyes peeled on the surface of the water. Now there's a hippo here to the right, kind of underneath the surface of the water, tucked in the back right. If you can't see the hippos to the right, we're going to see some to the left in a second. There's also these gray birds to the right. These are pink-backed pelicans. They get the name from a pink patch that appears on their back during mating season. They are colonial nesters as well, so they're going to nest in groups of 50 to 500. Now here's that other group of hippos to the left behind the island. The group of hippos is called a float, so that is a bloat of hippos. Hippos' closest relatives are actually whales and dolphins. And they are very good swimmers, but they do kind of sink to the bottom of the river, so instead they prefer to run or kind of gallop across the bottom of the river. A little bit more convenient for them. They're also going to spend the large majority of their day sleeping. They're very nocturnal animals, so they'll sleep during the day, then they'll wait until it turns evening or nighttime, then they'll come out and be a little bit more active, looking for food, move around. Here to the left as you cross this bridge, these are Nile crocodiles. Nile crocodiles are the largest crocodilian species on the planet. They're going to be about 18 to 20 feet long, which is about as tall as giraffes are. And they might not look like it, but they're actually very caring parents. Right before their eggs hatch, the mother, she's going to roll around those eggs in her mouth. It'll start the hatching process. It also makes it a little bit easier for those babies to get out of the eggs. Mom actually has 2 pockets in the back of her mouth. She can hide the babies in those pockets if they're too small to swim, or if there's any predators around. And the vegetation is changing. That is a good sign. We're heading towards my favorite part of the reserve, which is the savanna. Savanna is home to some of the more well-known animals like zebras, giraffes, and wildebeest. But before that, to the right, you're going to see this funny-looking tree. This is the baobab tree, sometimes referred to as an upside-down tree or the tree of life. They are leafless for about 9 months out of the year, but they're very, very important to the ecosystem. Animals find very creative ways to get water out of them. They'll eat the leaves off them when they do have them. They'll eat the bark off them, and they'll poke holes in their trunk to get any water that might be trapped on the inside. Baobab trees are like nature's water tower. Depending on their size, they're going to store upwards of 30,000 gallons of water. As we head on into the savanna, any animals you guys see out in the distance, we're going to slowly make our way over to them. And here to the right, those shaggy animals, those are wildebeests. Wildebeests are the second most densely populated mammal on the planet, second to only us humans. The living groups are upwards of 1.5 million animals that migrate anywhere from 500 to 1,000 miles every single year. Now, because they migrate so much and so often, mothers will often give birth while they're walking. So that baby has to be up and walking within 15 minutes or is going to get left behind. Here they are. They're laying right here in this fallen tree. These are painted dogs. And painted dogs are very social animals that live in groups upwards of 15. And they are very, very cute, but they're also very, very effective pack hunters with a success rate of about 80 to 90%, making them some of, if not the best hunters on the planet. For comparison, lions have a success rate of about 30% on their hunts. And here to the left, these horned animals, these are going to be sable antelopes. They're very, very territorial animals. They're some of the only antelopes that would rather stand their ground and fight rather than run. They're also the symbol for the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now we'll start with the giraffes. They're going to be on your left and your right. These are Maasai giraffes. You can see those ossicones on top of their head. You were talking about earlier with the okapi, those pointy things. This giraffe here to the left, actually, that is Mara. Mara's pretty easy to pick out because of her ossicones. Her left ossicone is a little bit smaller and a little bit further pushed back from her right one. So she's pretty easy to pick out. Ossicones are not horns, they're actually cartilage covered in skin and fur. Giraffes also have a prehensile tongue, which means their tongue acts like a big finger for them, helping them grab food off branches. It's just a little bit easier. Giraffes are going to spend the large majority of their day eating. They're going to spend roughly 20 hours of their day eating, and they're only going to sleep about 30 minutes out of their day. They're going to sleep standing up with their eyes open in about 5-minute spurts. Now they are, of course, the tallest land animal on the planet. They range about 18 to 20 feet tall. When they're born, they're about 6 feet tall. Giraffes do give birth standing up, so the first thing baby experiences is gravity, probably about 6 feet. It helps jumpstart them. They're up and walking around in less than 30 minutes. Now Maasai giraffes, so the giraffes here on the reserve, their spots are unique to each animal. No 2 spot patterns are going to be the same. That's only for Maasai giraffes. The other species of giraffes, which are reticulated giraffes, their spot patterns are uniform to one another. So they all look pretty much identical. Once again, Maasai giraffes here on the reserve, spots are unique. Other species of giraffes, reticulated, spots are uniform to one another. There's a couple more wildebeest here to the right. The giraffes are the largest ruminant on the planet, which means they have multiple chambers in their stomach, kind of like how cows do. They're actually the only non-bovine species, which is a ruminant. They're going to chew their food, turning it into cud. It makes it a little bit easier for them to digest. Now real fast, we're going to talk about this mandrill here to the left. He just walked behind the bushes. He's in these bushes in this upper right hand corner. Mandrills are the largest monkey on the planet. If you've seen The Lion King, Rafiki's a mandrill. He's in the bushes right here. He's actually walking to the left of them, kind of, sort of. Stand behind the bushes. We'll talk about the elephants here. Then you see those great big ears, kind of shaped like the continent of Africa. They're going to flap those ears like a big set of fans to help them cool off. Those ears will cool them off upwards of 15 degrees. They'll also use their trunks to grab dirt and throw dirt on their back to create a barrier between their skin and the sun. Now that barrier of dirt does help with the sun, but it does help in other ways as well, especially with bug bites. Elephants hate bug bites, so that barrier of dirt is going to help keep them away. Elephants are, of course, the largest land animal on the planet. Male elephants will top out around 12,000 pounds. Females will top out around 10,000. Now, because of their size, they're going to eat a lot of food every single day. They're going to eat anywhere from about 300 to 400 pounds of food. They're also going to drink about 42 gallons of water. Now, unfortunately, every year elephants lose more and more of their homes, which drives them into conflicts with humans, usually farmers. They'll walk through their crops or eat their crops, and farmers aren't too keen on that. So a few years ago, we did some research here on the reserve, found out the elephants were afraid of bees. They can hear them from about a mile away. So we used that information to create a beehive that we could put up around crops to keep elephants out. We then sent those beehives to farmers in Africa. They did their job, kept the elephants out, so it protected the farmers, protected the elephants. It also gave the farmers another source of income in the honey. Now that is the Elephant and the Bees project, and it was founded right here in Animal Kingdom. Now here to the left, you're going to see another group of elephants. This is going to be a bachelor's group, so these are all boys. Elephants are a matriarchal society, and the female elephant's going to be in charge of any herd. Because of that, as males age, they become too aggressive, so they're going to break away from the rest of the herd, meeting up with other males, creating a bachelor's group. Now this group is made up of 3 boys. There's 2 smaller ones, those who are actually brothers, and then the larger one is in charge of this group. He's our oldest and largest elephant. Now, a lot of the 3 boys, they consist of kind of sparring or fighting each other to see who's really in charge, which are what the 2 brothers are doing right now. Now, the larger elephant I was just talking about, he's the largest elephant we have here on the reserve. He's actually our oldest as well. He weighs a little over 12,000 pounds, so even by elephant standards, he's a very large animal. They also have that famous trunk. They can talk to one another or vocalize using them. That behavior is called trumpeting. They have another one that can talk to them to make a rumbling sound through the ground that we cannot hear, but other elephants can hear up to 25 miles away. Here to the left, these are greater flamingos. Flamingos get that famous pink color that they have from the food they eat, which is brine shrimp. Brine shrimp carries a mineral called beta-carotene. It's going to take the flamingos about a year or 2 to develop that pink color after they hatch. You might also notice that island that they're standing on might look a little bit familiar. It is a very large Demiki. And here to the left, that is a mud wallow. It's a good sign that there haven't been rhinos around. Rhinos have very delicate skin. So what they're going to do is they're going to roll around in that mud. It helps them cool off. It also acts like sunscreen for them, protecting their skin from the sun. Coming up here to the left, they're going to be walking around up on this hill. These are cheetahs. Now cheetahs are really cool, they're really unique big cats. Their claws cannot fully retract into their paws, they stick out a little bit acting like cleats. They need those cleats because they're the fastest land animal on the planet. They're going to go 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds, which is faster than the launch of a rock and roller coaster. They also cannot roar. They are the second largest cat on the planet that can purr. They make purring, chirping, and kind of like barking noises as well to communicate to one another. They are sadly the last surviving member of their family. All other big cats are either part of the Puma or Panthera family. Cheetahs are part of the Acinix family. They have that nice long tail. It acts like a big rudder on a boat to help steer them. You guys saw that tail. It kind of had a J or kink in it. That's not how their tail used to be. A couple thousand years ago, they were hunted till near extinction, so a little bit of inbreeding took place, which created a genetic bottleneck, which created that kink in its tail. So it does exactly what it is intended to do. It still helps kind of rudder them, helps them turn quickly. Just has a little bit of a kink now in it. Used to be perfectly straight. Alright, we'll talk about the rhinos here to the right. These are going to be white rhinos. White rhinos are the larger of the two species of rhinos. So they're going to weigh anywhere from about 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. Now earlier we were talking about how black rhinos have a triangular shaped upper lip, but white rhinos have a square shaped upper lip. Allows them to kind of graze off the ground just a little bit easier. And you see they basically all have that mud on their back I was just talking about from the mud wallow. Rhinos have very poor eyesight. They can only see about 10 feet out in front of them. They do have excellent hearing though. Little ears moving like little antennas. And then here to the left, we're going to see some lions. Then we have 3 lions here on the reserve. We have 1 male, his name is Takari, and then we have 2 females. They are sisters. Their names are Kinsey and Kamari. The lions are going to spend about 16 to 20 hours of their day just laying around and resting. The rest of the time, the females are going to go out and do the majority of the hunting, while the males stay behind to protect the pride. Now the girl here, who's kind of laying almost spread across the rock, that is Kinsey. Kinsey deals with a little bit of arthritis, so she lays on the rock like that to help kind of stretch her muscles out. She figured that out all by herself, so it kind of prevents us from having to do any physical therapy with her. Now male lions, they do have that mane. The mane alone can weigh upwards of 40 pounds. If there's a group of female lions without a male lion in it, a dominant female will actually start to grow a mane, and then once a male comes and takes that position, the female will then lose and shed the mane. I do want to go back and talk about the rhinos just a little bit more. Rhinos are unfortunately some of the most endangered animals on the planet. They're often poached for their horns. It's often believed to be in some cultures that their horns have a medicinal purpose to them, but there's no scientific proof to back that up. Their horns are actually made of the same stuff that our fingernails and hair are made out of, only their horns cannot grow back. So it's very exciting for us here on the reserve when we can help increase their population, help increase their gene pool just a little bit. So I love to talk about the babies. We have 3 in total. We have Milo and Logan. Milo and Logan were born about a month apart from one another. They're about a year old. And we have Ranger as well. Ranger's about a year older than Milo and Logan. As we head on out of the savannah, we're making our way to Magadi Glen. This is where our warden's outpost is. Wardens take care of all the animals here on the reserve, including these other guys on the left. These are going to be Nigerian dwarf goats. They might seem small, but they're actually fully grown. You can also see that yellow box out in front of the outpost. It's actually one of those beehives I was talking about earlier with the elephant and the bees project. I like the elephant and the bees project. We like to get locals involved in conservation. Because if they care about conservation, they're often much more successful. Now another similar program to that I am personally very passionate about is the Livestock Guard Dog program, which is part of the Cheetah Conservation Fund. Now cheetahs are very timid animals. They're also not very strong, so they have a harder time taking down bigger prey items. But farmers in Africa, mainly in Namibia, they were losing their cattle to predators. It was those cheetahs hunting their cattle because they were easy prey. So the Cheetah Conservation Fund, they came up with this idea to create and sponsor a program which raised Anatolian shepherds. They would then send those dogs to the farmers, teach farmers how to raise the dogs, how to train the dogs, how to take care of the dogs. And those dogs will help keep the cattle safe and keep the cheetahs away. So it's a win-win for everybody involved, but most importantly, it'll help keep that cheetah population growing. Now, I've given you just a handful of conservation funds or projects, but if you're passionate about a certain animal or a certain subject, do your research. There are countless conservation funds out there that you can get involved with. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns once you're out of the truck and up on that unload dock, you are more than welcome to come up to my window and ask them. Also, make sure you are checking your surroundings. Make sure you have all of your belongings, because it is a long walk back here to Africa if you do forget anything. And make sure you guys check out all the other animals we have here around the park. We have lots of animals at the base of the Tree of Life and over in the Oasis. There are some barbarousas, anteaters, lesser flamingos, otters, kangaroos, lemurs. We also have some monkeys over by Kali River Rapids, kind of at the entrance of Asia. We also have our 2 walking trails we have here on the park. We have one here in Africa, it's the Gorilla Falls walking trail. You're going to get a better view of the okapi, better view of the hippos. But there aren't any gorillas out. I know it's called the Gorilla Falls walking trail, but they're not out right now. There's a lot of other animals you guys can check out on there too. There's also some meerkats. The one over in Asia is my favorite. It's the Maharaj Jungle Trek. You might see some Komodo dragons, giant fruit bats, water buffaloes, and some Sumatran tigers. Now, if you want to see the tiger up and active, I recommend heading over there sooner rather than later, because the later it gets, the less likely they're going to be moving around. But the warden is clearing it, since that means our safari is coming to a close. So I do want to say Asante Sana. Thank you for joining me today. But here in Harambe, we don't like to say goodbye. That is far too sad, far too final. So we like to say, Kwaha arrangements go well. So go well. Have a good rest of your day. Come back anytime for another safari. And watch those hands.